Guys, I'm sure you're aware of the catastrophe that's going on in Lebanon. I am raising money with a reliable charity, One Ummah, that will help get your donations to those people that require it the most. I will leave a link in the description. Assalamu alaikum guys, and welcome to another episode of Smile to Jannah. In a recent article, we found out that ex-royals Harry and Meghan have cut ties with a Muslim charity organization called the Milwaukee Muslim Women's Coalition. Why? Because someone grassed up their founder and did some quote mining and found him to say three things in favor of Palestine. The first thing he said was to call Israel an apartheid state, which technically speaking there's nothing really wrong with, because the International Court of Justice in 2024 called it exactly that. Secondly, you have credible human rights organizations like Amnesty International who have said the same thing. Number two, he called for an arms embargo of Israel. This is something that pretty much any activist pro or anti-Israel has said in some capacity or another. And the third thing was, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. The Israelis have tried to spin this as a hate or an anti-Semitic chant when the Israeli leaders have echoed the same sentiments. Well, it seemed to me like a non-story, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't exciting enough. Because these guys, Harry and Meghan, have cut themselves off from the royal family. So obviously, because they're in America, America is heavily reliant, dependent, controlled by the lobby group. Something that even the current King of England has said in the past, and I'll get to this. And not to mention the irony behind this thing, because okay, maybe these guys didn't directly make the call, their charity did, but I just want to put this in here as well, yeah? Prince Harry is currently taking some people to court from here in the UK, and here is his legal representative. Yes, it's a Muslim woman with a hijab. But let's not get distracted. I thought in case the far right are watching, they can burn in their rage. So what was really interesting to me was the view of the Queen of England, because her things are pretty clear, you know what I mean? Because even if you look at the royal family in general, until 2018, no royal family officially went to Israel. Yes. And which of them broke the streak? It was the bold guy, Prince William. And he went because of their 70th year anniversary. Anniversary of what? Anniversary of apartheid? In the words of the founder of this charity, Jannah Najib, I'll leave it to the royal to come to his own conclusion. Now here is something that former president of Israel, Reuven Rivlin, said. He said that the Queen had a view in which she saw every Israeli as either a terrorist or the son of a terrorist. And he goes on to say that she refused Israeli officials entry into Buckingham Palace unless it was for international occasions. Respect to that woman, frankly. You know what I mean?
Da 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 da. It's the one and only Digo Double G.
Snoop Dogg.
Especially when it comes to Israeli leadership. Of course, those guys are complicit in what's been going on, yeah? So calling them a terrorist is fair enough, you know what I mean? And if you like to research these sorts of things and, you know, you put it into these AIs, you will notice that before 1980, most of the terrorist attacks were conducted by the Israelis. Yes, that's correct. Yeah. Why? Because especially in the period of 1940, yeah, the British Mandate of Palestine, the Brits had controlled that region and the Israelis were conducting all sorts of attacks. They had terrorist groups called Haganah, Stern Gang, Irgun, and the founders of all three groups, their leaders eventually became the leaders of Israel. I kid you not. So some have speculated that it was probably because of their attacks on the British soldiers or whatever it may be, especially like the King David Hotel. I mentioned these names because some people, might note them down and might want to go ahead and do their own research. In addition, the Queen visited Jordan in 1984, and she reportedly said when seeing a map of illegal settlements built by Israel in the West Bank, she said, "What a depressing map." And even when the fighters went over her, she expressed her uncomfortable nature with regards to this as well. And the Israeli president went on, he said this actually at a gala event celebrating Haifa's Technion Institute of Technology in London. He called Israel and the Queen's relationship very difficult. And when you look at the fact that she's visited 120 countries and she never visited Israel. Charles, on the other hand, wasn't as hardcore as the Queen. However, there have been instances in which he has, not shown the sentiment that our current leaders show. He said stuff like, and this is in a letter, "I now understand the Arab point of view." And then, this is the smoking gun, he goes, "Surely a United States president would have the courage to stand up against the Jewish lobby." And today we know how influential AIPAC and the ADL actually are. And thanks to Prince Harry and Meghan's step, which hopefully will be reversed, we were able to do a deep dive into what the main royals in our current generation actually thought about these sick leaders of Israel and their escapades in the Middle East. Let's leave it there, guys. Until next time, Assalamu alaikum.